Hello, everybody. So I'm going to go live a couple minutes early. I have to get my second computer organized here. So if you're seeing me, just a moment. Hopefully you'll see my screen anyway. All right. See if I can get myself up here. Oh, okay. So hopefully you'll be able to see my screen very soon. I'm seeing myself, so that's good. Seeing me, just a moment. Just a second here. Hopefully you'll see my screen. All right. So let me know that you can hear me okay. When you're coming in, send me thumbs ups or say something. Are you hearing me okay, hopefully? I always have to have a second computer when I do this. So I have my new tablet and it works very good, or I should say very well. So I can see oh, everybody's waving at me. Hello. Facebook has had a couple of updates lately. So is everybody seeing my screen? And are you hearing me okay? Send me some thumbs ups if you're hearing me. Oh, good. Everybody's hearing me okay? Hi, Pat. Hi, Garnet. Hi, Pam. Oh, Denise is here. Mary Ann's here. Hi, everybody. So I've been home working all day today. Hi, Lynn. I've been home working all day today. I'm working on the April classes. So the April class, I'm going to do a puffy foam. We're gonna digitize some puffy foam. So I thought it'd be kind of fun. Can see and hear me good? Okay, great. The screen sharing always, it usually works really well, but it always is a little more, makes me nervous because sometimes things didn't always go well. So I've had to start a couple of times over again, but lately it's been doing really well. However, Facebook must have had a update maybe a few days ago because I can no longer get my videos to download. So the video that I made in this group for the upgrade, the dime upgrade that is now called Embroidery Tool Shed. It's like encompassing all of the software together. I put a video up. I had made that Thursday night right after the upgrade, and I couldn't get it down out of my video room to get it up into this room. So I finally found a back door to go through, and I got it. My friend Connie was having the same problem with one of her videos, so we found a back door and we got it down and got it up into the groups that we needed. So anyway, Dime has had this upgrade, and we're going to talk about it just a little bit before we start. While people are coming in, we'll talk a little bit about the upgrade. Hi, Marianne. Hi, Lisa. Hi, Deb. We got all kinds of people coming in. Denise came in. Awesome. So we're going to talk a little bit about this just before we start. I thought I'd wait just a couple more minutes till people kind of find us. We're still having people coming in. So, oh, Lisa made it home. That's good. So you don't have to try to listen while you're driving, huh? So I put the video up on the group about this upgrade. It is a little bit confusing to people because what it does is, in the past, there have been like all these different pieces of software. Like I had I had PEP, I had the lace software, I had Word Art and Stitches, I had the quilt software, I had all these softwares, and there was like all these icons on your screen. So what they've done is they've encompassed all of those together. So you only have to update one time because, every time I had 6 icons on here, so I had to update every single one separately. So now I can just update them all together at the same time. So that's what they've done, is they've kind of put them all together in one screen, but you can access all the individual softwares through that one screen. I did have a couple of questions today. One of the questions was, I had a few of you that only had the embroidery suite, which was the entry level of Perfect Embroidery Pro, and it used to be called Embroidery Suite. So I had a couple people tell me that the check mark wasn't next to PEP. Well, the reason it's not is because you only have the suite version. So if you know that's all you had, you will not have that check mark next to there. So when I open the software, you'll see what I'm talking about. But your software is still there and it's still working. You just don't have a check mark next to PEP because you don't own Perfect Embroidery Pro. You own Perfect Embroidery Suite. So that's why that's confusing. They don't sell Suite by itself anymore. So those of you who've had older software and that's all you ever had, that's what you have instead of the Pro. So that's why that happens. So your software's fine. It just looks, it doesn't look like you have it, but you do. So that was one of the questions today. Has everybody seen the video? Send me some thumbs ups if you've seen the video that I put up. Because if you haven't, it's on Sessions on Software. So send me some thumbs ups if you've seen the video. And if you haven't updated your software, go ahead and do that. And oh good, we've got some people that have seen it. It's only about 15 minutes. So we'll have to go into, I'm going to go into Toolshed now, and you'll see what the software looks a little bit different. It's not hard to get around in, it's the same, but they just put everything together. Okay, so that's why it was a little bit confusing. And my computer, and yeah, Marianne Mullenix, you're also going to have that because you only had the suite. So you'll be another one of those that won't have a check mark. Hi, Sharon. So oh, Kathy's here. I think probably Orland's here too. Got my door design too. Oh, cool. Yeah, Lynn got her door design. I got mine yesterday, but I haven't put it on my stick yet. So I need to get mine done too. I've been working on the class for April. So yeah, so don't be afraid to update. If you only had the suite, let me open this up so you can see what I'm talking about. So I wanted to talk about this a little bit as people were coming in. So for those of you who had questions. So I'm going to open up the one icon then now on your screen is called Embroidery Toolshed. And your Inspiration Today screen still opens up. One of the questions on the Facebook group was, where are the free designs now? So that I cannot answer because they're not on the screen that you'll be seeing here in a minute if you're not seeing it yet. I'm not sure where the free designs are every month. So just be patient. I'm sure they'll be there. So on Inspiration Today screen, they usually had the little freebies over on the right. Well, they're not there right now, so don't be concerned. I'm sure they'll come back, but I haven't seen them yet. And so I'm going to click on this screen just like we always have. I'm going to click Create a New Design. Okay, and for some reason my software still thinks it needs to be updated, so it keeps coming up with this new update available, and it doesn't have a new update. So I must have a glitch on my two computers, but no one else is saying that they're having problems. So I don't know what's causing it on mine. So I've just been clicking no because I downloaded it once and then it wouldn't work. So I think there's just a glitch on my computer. So don't mind that. Everything's working fine. So I'm just going with it. So, okay, so here is when it opens up the main. If you have Perfect Embroidery Suite or Perfect Embroidery Pro on your computer, that's what it's going to open up in. So mine is Perfect Embroidery Pro. If you only have Perfect Embroidery Suite, that's what it's going to open up in. If you want to see the lists down here, and I go through this a little bit on the video, but the lists down here at the bottom, there's these little tabs, and the last thing says purchases. So there are all my programs. And so anything that has a gold check mark on it, you have installed and active on your computer. So, and then you can also do this. I mean, I go through this more in detail, but you can go through and you can actually buy software directly through this area now, and it takes you to the website, their website. You can actually put in your zip code and choose Shield Sewing Center, and then you can buy the software basically from us, but you're buying it online. We will also have it on our website before too much longer, so you can also buy software directly from our website. So it's in the process. We're not quite there yet, but we're working on it. Oh, did you have that happen too, Lynn? That it wanted to do the update again, and so you reloaded? Okay, I might just do that and see if I can get it to go away, because both of my computers are doing it, but a lot of other people have told me their computer was not. So anyway, this is I'm in the screen for Perfect Embroidery Pro. So if you have Perfect Embroidery Pro on your computer, that's what it's going to open up when you open this up. Okay. And then if you have Perfect Embroidery Suite, that where it says Perfect Embroidery Pro, you will not have a check mark there because you don't have the Pro version, but it will open up in Perfect Embroidery Suite. Okay, so it does look a little different, but it doesn't. I mean, like when I open this up, it looks just like the software I've always used, except I have this extra little tab down here now, and then I can go through and see all my software that I have. You can change from one software to another in here simply by going in, like if I want to go to Word Art and Stitches, I can go into Word Art and Stitches. It's right here. I can click over here on the little buttons, the little three little dots, and I can make it the default. So then, as you can see, my screen has changed to Word Art and Stitches, to the icons and to the screen for Word Art and Stitches. So then you know, if I want to go back to, let's say I want to go down to, I think I've got my block piecer activated on here. So I can do the same thing. I can go click on the little dots and I can make that default. Well, then when I get open up, then that is the screen for that program. So you're just toggling through these to the different programs you have. So you don't have to close the program and open another, and then close that program and open another. It's all available right here. And that is really neat. I think that'll be very useful and very fast. So I'm going to go back to Perfect Embroidery Pro. I'm going to click the little dots and make it default. So then my screen's going to go back to my Perfect Embroidery Pro. And so we're going to talk about, we're going to do some digitizing tonight. So this is going to be a little bit more drawing and creating from manual digitizing. We're going to do a little in the hoop project. Okay. So this is an in the hoop USB bag. And this was a class that Kathy Quinn did, and I adapted this from the class that I did with Kathy Quinn quite a few years ago. I want to say probably at least 10 years ago. And this has always been one of my favorite little projects. And but there was only one thing I wanted to do. I've always wanted it to be a little bit bigger. So what I did is I adapted it from her notes and I made it a little bit bigger so that it holds the USBs a little bit better. And I rewrote the notes with the new sizes. So that's something I've always wanted to do. So if you give me a second, I'm just going to minimize my screen and I'll show you a picture of the little USB bag all sewn out. Since I can't show it to you on the screen, here's the little USB bag all sewn out. So there's some new things I did with it, of course. We did a monogram. I made it a little bit bigger, and then I'm going to use cam snaps, the little plastic cam snaps on it, because they hold really tight. And the original ones we made with just little sew-on snaps, because we didn't have those fun cam snaps at that time. So anyway, that's what we're going to be making tonight, and I'm going to teach you how to digitize it and do the monogram. When we have Explore Club later in March, in the stores and online, we are going to sew this USB bag. So I'm going to teach you how to sew an in the hoop project with a zipper. And then I will also give you a different top. So you won't have just the monogram top. You'll have two different tops. And then you can also put a monogram in that. So there'll be actually two different top parts for the USB bag. So you'll have one that you made here with the monogram and your own monogram, and one that you can add a monogram of your choice to. Okay? So that's what we're going to be doing tonight. All right, so let me close this up, and I'm going to bring this back up again. And we have our screen open. The first thing we do that I always do when I digitize is I want to set up my workspace to be the way I need it for the particular project I'm working on. So the first thing I'm going to do is I already, you saw me open that My Inspiration Today showed up. So that we already did that, and I clicked Create a New Design. So I'm going to change my ruler settings. And to do that, the rulers are up, along the top of the design screen and on the left, but I'm going to right click on the top ruler, and I want to make sure that inches is selected. So it is. And then the other thing I want to do is I want to make sure the show grid is selected, because we're going to need the grid lines tonight, because we're going to be using them to help us get our lines. And then I want to click on the word grid settings. And when I click on the grid settings, I can change the spacing in this first little area. And I would like my spacing to be 1/4 inch spacing. So I'm going to type in these two boxes, 0.25 in both of these. And then I am going to tell it, and this is an unusual thing. I don't use this very often, but for this exercise, it worked really well. There is a snap to grid feature in the software, so that when you are drawing lines straight, they really are straight because they snap right to the little grid lines that we're using. So to do that, I want to click in this little box here that says snap to grid and make a check mark there. And in the style over here, I want it to say show grid as solid lines. Instead of the dashed lines, sometimes the dashed lines aren't dark enough for me to see. So I'm going to do show as solid lines. And I'm going to click OK at this time. So I've set up my grid, and you can see that my screen has changed. I have lines on my screen, and then the 1 inch lines are darker than the 1/4 inch little boxes that I've chosen. Okay, so in the view menu, there's one thing I want to show you in the view menu tonight. If I go up to view, I want to make sure there's a check mark in front of start stop. And right now you can see it's grayed out, but it's grayed out because there's nothing on the screen. But in a couple minutes there will be. So I want there to be a check mark there, and I'll show you why in a minute. And then I want to go to my tools menu. So these are some of the things that I set up, and I often change them, but I want to set up. I like to go to my tools menu. Oops, second here. Tools. And I want to go to my general options. And I'm going to go to the view tab. I have a hard time with icons in my properties box, because then I have to hover my mouse over each one to figure out which one I'm looking for. I rather just read the word. So what I do is in this area under view, I like to deselect show property tabs as icons. It's the second one right here. I do not want a check mark in there because I want to read what the properties box tabs are. And it's just faster for me to read than it is for me to hover my mouse. Okay. And then I'm going to go down here and click OK. It's kind of underneath my sharing thing, so you'll have to forgive me. So I'll click OK. All right. So now we're ready to start our little USB bag. It's not real big still, but it works quite well with about 4 USBs in it. And then it has a zipper pocket in the top. So it's still only about, it's about 4 inches, 4 or 4.5 inches wide. I can't remember. We'll get into the numbers here. I can't remember exactly how wide it is, but I did make it bigger. Okay, so we need to start by drawing a rectangle. Now, when I draw in this program, I usually draw with the artwork tools because they have squares, rectangles, circles, stuff like that, so it makes it a lot easier to draw. So I'm going to go to my artwork tool, which is the little pencil, the circle, and the square up here. And you can see when I'm hovering, it says artwork tool on it. And there's a little arrow next to it, and I want to go hit the little arrow, and I want to select the rectangle tonight. So I want a rectangle to start. Then I'm going to just draw a rectangle on the screen. To do that, I'm just going to kind of start over here, over on the left side. I'm going to hold my left mouse button down. I'm just going to kind of drag a box. Doesn't matter what size it is, because we're going to fix the size. To fix the size and the position of this box, I need to get my selection tool. See, on your tool, when you've chosen that artwork tool, there's a little like square with a hash mark on it, and you may not be able to see it on the screen too well. But to get rid of that, I need to get my selection tool because I still have my artwork tool. So let me go over and get the selection tool. It's the little arrow on the top. And then I have my square is highlighted because it's got boxes all the way around. I want to move this square to the center of my workspace. It's very easy to work if you have everything centered, and then it helps you get everything organized. So if you can see, there is a 0 line here going horizontally and a 0 line going vertically. And then see that green and red thing in the middle there? That is that start stop that I told you to have checked under view right here. So now it's not gray anymore, it's blue. So that is the center of our workspace, and it has a colored thing there that helps me know where it is. So what I want to do is I'm going to grab this little X down here. I'm going to pull that X to the center of my workspace. And if you need to adjust it, use your control key and then just bump with your arrow keys on your keyboard, just left and right a little bit to center it the way you want it perfectly. Okay? So now it's in the center of my workspace. If I look in my properties box, things have woke up over in the properties box, which is on the right-hand side at the top. And I need to transform this rectangle to the size that I want it from my little bag. So I need to click on the Transform tab. And then I can, oh, had a thumbs up. Somebody gave me a thumbs up. I had got my Transform tab. And in this case, I have a specific size that I want this to be. So I want to deselect maintain aspect ratio because I want to type in my width and my height myself. So I'm going to deselect that. And then I'm going to change it to 5.5 inches wide. So the width is going to be 5.5 and the height is going to be 8.5. 8.5. Okay. And then I'm going to click apply. Now on my screen, I have a very small computer. So my purchases area down here is kind of in the way. So I need to pull it down a little bit, and you can just kind of grab it and pull it down. The other thing I want to do down here, instead of it saying purchases right now, I want it to have my sequence view. So there are tabs underneath this area, and the first one is called the sequence view. So I'm going to change it to sequence so I can see what I've got going on my screen. Okay, then I'm going to click apply. But there's only one problem. Everything went away on my screen. So now I have to adjust the zoom. So there's one thing, Kathy Quinn used to always say this, zoom to fit is our friend, because you always lose something on the screen. So we're going to go up here to the zoom, which says right now says 200%, and I'm going to click on the little arrow and I'm going to zoom to fit. And there is my rectangle. Now I do notice that my rectangle shifted a little bit out of the center. So I'm going to make sure that I've got it centered. I'm going to bump it with my control key and my arrow keys just a little bit to make sure it's centered where I want it. And that looks better. But for some reason it moved a little bit. All right, now we have a square, But if we look over here in the sequence view and click the little box, the little plus sign, I should say, it says artwork. Well, artwork does not sew. So we need to get this into, we need to make it into stitches. So that's what the next section is. It's called create the bag. So I'm going to turn this into stitches. I need to select my artwork. So if I go down here to the sequence view, I can just click on it and it will select my artwork again because I still had my selection tool. I want to right click on the rectangle. Then you're going to get this menu. I want to convert to, and I want it to be a run stitch. So I'm going to click on the word run with my left mouse button. Now if I open up into my sequence view, my plus sign, now it says that I have a run. So that's actually stitches. So it's going to stitch now. Okay. With that selected, with my run selected, there's a new properties box up here. And it gives me options of what I want to do. So on the run tab, I want to change my stitch length. Now this is just going to be like a placement line. So I don't need it to be it can just be a kind of a fast line to tell me where to put my fabric. So we're going to make the stitch length longer. So let's do the stitch length at 4.5 millimeters. And I want this type to be standard, which is just fine. I'm going to click apply. And it's changed those settings for me. Then I'm going to go up here again to my properties. And I'm going to go to the commands tab. The commands tab will allow me to do something about the tie-in and the tie-off. I wanted to tie a knot at the beginning and then at the end of my square, or rectangle in this case, so that it will tie off and then it won't come undone. Okay, so we're going to tell it to tie in. I want it to be a basic tie-in. I want it to be a basic tie-off. And then I'm going to click apply again. So we've set our properties for that particular run. All right, so we're going to turn the page here. Now the next thing we need to produce is our placement lines for the zipper, because we're going to put a little zipper in here on one side of the bag. So we need to get some placement lines so we know where to lay the zipper in the hoop. So to do the placement lines, I'm going to do some drawing. I'm going to get my run tool. So the run tool in this software, it looks like a backwards letter S. So this is the run tool. So I'm going to click on the run tool. I'm going to right click on color number 1. That means that is the color that it will digitize this line in. Okay, so we're going to be working with the colors as well. In the properties box, I am going to select the run tab, which is selected. I want my stitch length to be 4.5 millimeters. This is just going to be a placement line as well. And I want it and the square or the rectangle we just did to sew at the same time. So that's why we're choosing the same settings. I want the type to be standard, and then I'm going to click apply. Okay. Then I'm going to go to the commands tab, and I want there to be a tie in that's basic and a tie off that's basic, and I'm going to click apply again. So now I have set all of the properties for this line that I'm about to draw. So to draw my zipper placement line, I'm going to click a line. I'm going to create it from left to right. All right, so I need to go down 2.5 inches. And remember, we set up the grid at 1/4 inch. I need to go down 2.5 inches or 10 grid lines from the top. And then I'm going to draw this line. So I will make this a little bigger so you can see it. My screen is quite small. So oops, I can get the zoom tool. The little zoom tool is the little spyglass over here. So let's make this a little bigger so you can see it. And I will go up a little bit. Whoops. We have to fit again and then zoom in a little bit more because you can't see it very well. All right. Get my tool again. I think everything's set. Okay, so we're going to come down 10 grid lines because that will be 2.5 inches. Remember, we made them 1/4 inch. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. So here's 10 grid lines. I'm going to start right on the rectangle. I'm going to left click. Now remember, I have my snap to grid on. See how that line is just snapping right on that grid? I'm going to go over to the right. I'm going to click on the other side of the rectangle, and then I'm going to right click to finish it. So now we have our rectangle, and then there's just a single line across from left to right. Okay, so that is the placement line for our zipper. So we have this rectangle and the straight line, and they're both going to sew as step number 1. So then we know where to put the zipper down. So we put the zipper down now, but the second thing we have to do is get the zipper sewn down to the stabilizer. So now we're going to create some stitching lines that are actually going to sew the zipper down to the stabilizer. So again, I want my run tool. Will you repeat how to do the placement line, please? Oh, sure. So what I did is I'm looking at my 1/4 inch grid squares here, and I came down from the top 10 lines or 2.5 inches. Because remember, these were 1/4 inch squares. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. I left clicked on the left side of the rectangle. I moved my mouse over to the right side of the rectangle. I left clicked, and then I right clicked to finish it. Okay, so that is your placement line. Now we're going to move on to the tack down lines because we have to sew that zipper down. Some of you have done projects like this, so you kind of have an idea how they work. Okay, so the zipper tack down lines, I need to get that run tool again. I want this, it needs to stop after I do the first step that we just did before I can put my zipper in. So I want this one to be a different color. I'm going to right click on color number 2 because now I'll have a second color. I'm going to go up to my properties box because I have my tool. I'm going to go to the properties box, and I'm going to, on the run tab, I want to make my stitch length shorter this time. So this is going to be holding the zipper. So I'm going to make it 3 millimeters, 3.0. I still want it to be a standard stitch, and I'm going to click apply. And then I'm going to go back to the commands tab and check to make sure that my tie in and tie off are basic. Since we've already chosen that on a straight stitch, it very likely will be here, but I just check to make sure, and then I'll click apply again. And then I'm going to create the stitch line from right to left. The reason I'm doing that is when I made my first line from left to right, this black symbol over here is where the last stitch was. And I want to try to keep the jumping around as meant to a minimum. So I'm going to start my line and have it stitched from right to left this time. Oh, the black line is the last. Denise asked what the black line thing is. That's the last stitch that you placed in. So the machine's going to go around the rectangle, and then it started on the left and went to the right. And those black lines, the black little arrow thing, that's the last stitch that the design's going to stitch. Okay, and it's going to move around. So as we do this, you're going to notice it's going to be moving. So I want to create my stitching line from right to left. I need to go 1/4 inch above the zipper placement line. So I'm going to take my tool, I already have it on my cursor, and I'm going to start 1/4 inch. Remember, our squares are 1/4 inch, so just one box up. On the right hand side, I'm going to click there. I'm going to drag my mouse all the way across to the left to the other side of the rectangle. I'm going to click there, and then I'm going to right click to finish. And you can see it's in red. And did you also notice that the black triangle thing moved? So that's where the last stitch is that we just created. Okay. That's the tack down line for the top of the zipper. I'm now going to create the tack down line for the bottom of the zipper. So what I'm going to do then is I'm going to do this one from left to right. So I'm going to go down 1/4 of an inch from my placement line, the blue line. I want to go down 1/4 of an inch. That was one box. I'm going to click on that grid line. Whoops. I'm going to use the same, I've got the same settings on my tool. I'm going to go all the way across to the right again. I'm going to click there, and then I'm going to right click to finish. So now I have all my placement lines, which are blue, and then I have my zipper tack down lines, which are red. Okay. So is that part so far, is everybody understanding that? Give me some thumbs up if that makes sense to you. So we have a placement line, and we have our zipper tack down line. I hadn't made this for a long time, so I had to go through and really read the instructions again. It had been a while since I'd done it. Okay, so after we get the zippers sewn down to the stabilizer, we need to add some fabric on either side of the zipper so that we have an actual bag. Okay, so I need to add the fabric around my zipper. I am going to do the top first. So this section up here, we're going to do this top section first. Oh, everybody's understanding. Oh, Lynn says she has to rewatch already. Okay, that's fine. That's why I like the videos to be up there. Okay, so I'm going to sew the top fabric on first. So it's going to be a little smaller piece up here. The top fabric will be placed right side up next to the top zipper teeth, okay, up here. And I need my run tool first, so we need to make another run stitch. So I've got my run tool, the backwards S. I'm going to right click on color number 3, because this needs to be a different color because it needed to stop in between these so I could do something. I'm going to right click on number 3. I am going to go to the properties box, and I want my stitch length to be 3, so that's where it already is. But this time I would like my type of stitch to be a bean stitch. And what a bean stitch is a triple stitch. So it's really going to sew that fabric down with a very strong stitch. Okay. Then I'm going to click apply. So I chose bean. I'm going to leave my bean repeats at 3. That's fine. And then I'm going to click apply. Then I'm going to go to the commands tab. Again, I'm going to verify that my tie-in and my tie-off are still basic, and they are, and click apply. And then I'm going to create my stitch line from left to right on top of the upper zipper line. So that red line that we put up here, I'm going to sew right on top of that same line to sew the fabric down. All right, so I'm going to go from left to right, because remember, I wanted to start on this side again, just because of the way it will work out when you are sewing. It's a zipper thing. So I wanted to start on that same side again. So I'm going to create the stitch line from left to right on top of the upper zipper line, right click to finish. So I'm going to go up here, right on top of the red line. I'm going to click on the left side of the rectangle. I'm going to pull my mouse all the way across the other side. It's snapping to my grid. And then I'm going to click on the right side of the box, and I'm going to right click to finish. I also need to do that on the bottom of the bottom of the bag or the zipper. But I need to stop and do something in between here. So I need to get a different color so that the machine will stop in between the two zipper parts, because we need to put the top fabric on and then the bottom fabric on. So I'm going to keep my run tool, but I'm going to go down and click on a different color, number 4, so that I have a stop in between the 3 and the 4. I'm going to go back up to my run tool to verify my settings. I want it to be 3. I want the bean stitch. Again, I want to click apply. And then I'm going to check my commands tab to make sure that my basic tie-in and tie-off are there, and I'm going to click apply. All right, give me just a second, I got to turn the page. Now I'm going to create my stitch line from right to left on top of the lower stitch line. So that second red line that's still showing, I'm going to go to the right. So I'm starting on the right hand side. I'm going to click on the right hand side of the rectangle. I'm going to pull my mouse across. It's snapping to my grid. I'm going to click on the left hand side of the rectangle, and then I'm going to right click to finish. So I have a green line on the top. It's going to stop so I can put my bottom fabric on, and then it's going to sew the bottom part of the zipper to, or the bag to the zipper, the fabrics. Okay. So does that part does that make sense to everybody? I remember when we first did this, we did this a long time ago, and this was a really big class because it had a lot of instructions and we did a lot of hand digitizing. So it was really hard for everybody. And when I went back to do it again, I had to think about it because it'd been a while since I'd done it. This is really a manually digitized design. So, and you're using your drawing tools, which it's very good practice for you. Okay. All right, so we have our placement line. We're going to put our zipper in, and then the red line, number 2, is going to sew the zipper down to the stabilizer. We're going to put a piece of fabric up against the top part of the zipper, and we're going to sew the zipper on, the fabric on, and then we're going to put fabric up to the bottom part of the zipper, and then we're going to sew the bottom fabric on. And that's where we are so far, okay? Over my head. Oh, well, you haven't done much digitizing, Terry. So, I mean, if you think about it, if you've done some in the hoop designs, if you think about how they work, this is how they would digitize it. So, okay. So now I need to do a couple of other lines because, you know, we put the zipper in and there's going to be like a little pocket on the bag. So when you fold the bag in half, we need to make sure that that the little pocket that's on the top part of it does not go all the way to the bottom. So we're going to put like the bottom of the pocket in, so there's like a stitch line there. And we're also going to do some tack down for the fabric that's down at the bottom so that we don't have it move around on us. Okay. So we have to do that with the run tool again. So we're going to draw a couple new lines. I'm going to get the run tool, and I needed it to stop. So we're going to get a different color. So it's going to stop in between these. I'm going to get color number 5 by right clicking on it. Then I'm going to go back to my properties box. And this time, again, the run tab, I want it to be, have to pick it out here. Oh, I want this one to be a bean also because this is the bottom of the pocket. So I want it to be a strong bean stitch. I'm going to click apply. I'm going to go check my commands tab to make sure that I have the basic tie in and tie off. I'm going to click apply again. And then I'm going to create the stitch from left to right on the 0 horizontal line. So remember we talked about how I centered this design on the 0 lines because that's the center of the workspace. So I want my bottom of my pocket to be on this 0 horizontal line right here. So I'm going to click right on the edge of that rectangle with my tool. I'm going to left click. I am going to, and see it's snapping to grid, so I'm going to slide it all the way to the right hand side. I'm going to click on the right hand side of that rectangle, and then I'm going to right click to finish. So now this line here is basically the center of our bag, and then the pocket, that's the bottom of the pocket, so that your USBs or whatever that are in there won't go all the way to the very bottom. Okay, so we just made a smaller pocket. I also need a tack down line for the bottom of the fabric that was on the bottom part of the zipper because it's kind of long and it will flop around. So we don't want that to happen. So again, I'm going to get my run tool. I'm going to right click on number 6 this time because I need the machine to stop. So we're going to pick another color. I'm going to get number 6. And this time I would like the properties to be, let's see, the run tab, and I want to go up to the stitch length of 3, which is good. I've got that. But I would like this one to be standard because this is just going to be something to hold the fabric in place while we're working with other pieces. Okay, so I'm going to change it from bean to back to standard, and I'm going to click apply. Again, I'm going to check my commands tab and make sure that my tie in and tie off are still there under basic and click apply. Okay. Then I'm going to create the stitches from left to right, a 1/2 inch from the bottom of the base rectangle. So this blue rectangle, I need to go up a 1/2 inch, which would be 2 squares, because remember these were 1/4 inch squares. So I'm going to go up 2 squares from the bottom, and I'm going to start on the left hand side. So I'm going up 1, 2 squares. I'm going to click on the left side of the rectangle. I'm going to slide my mouse across. See, it's snapping to the grid. I'm going to left click on that right side, and then I'm going to right click to finish. And that is with color number 6. Okay, so what that's just a tack down line that's keeping that bottom fabric in place while we're working with another piece on top of it. Okay, so that is the pocket. The yellow line is the bottom of the pocket. It's also the center line, the folding line of the whole bag. That's what it is. But it will keep your USBs, like if you put them in the zipper part, it won't go all the way to the bottom. And then the green line that we just did is the tacking down that long piece of fabric we're going to put by the zipper on the bottom part. Okay. And I give you all the sewing instructions for this. We're going to be sewing this in Explore Club in March also. So if you are confused about how to sew it, you can watch me do it in Explore Club, and I'll also do it online. So you'll be able to do the whole thing with me, with the video too. So okay. So the next step is I need some little pockets in here to put my USB sticks in. All right, so we're going to make USB dividers. So we're just going to do some drawing along the bottom of the bag so that we can drop our little USB sticks into it. So again, I need my run tool. So I'm using my run tool a lot tonight. So I'm going to go up and get that run tool, the backwards S. I'm going to right click on color number 7 because I need it to be a different color now. So I'm going to right click on color number 7. I'm going to go to the properties box, which lit up over here. I want my stitch length to be 3. And again, I want these little USB pockets to be very strong, so I'm going to make them into a bean stitch. So that triple stitch or that bean stitch, and I'm going to click apply. I'm going to check my commands tab to make sure that my tie in and tie off, my basic tie in and tie off are there. And then I'm going to click apply again. Now I'm going to create vertical lines this time, starting at the bottom. And the reason we're starting at the bottom is if you start at the top of your little piece of fabric and work down, your foot of your machine is going to grab that fabric and pull it off. So we don't want that. So we're going to start at the bottom of the bag and work backwards. Okay. So I want the first line to be 2 inches from the left side of the rectangle. So I'm going to look here. Remember, these are 1/4 inch squares. So I need to go over 8 grids. So I'm going to count from the left-hand side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. That's that's 2 inches. Okay, I'm going to start at the bottom of the bag. And then I'm going to go up. So I'm going to click there and I'm going to go up 11 lines or 2 3/4 inches. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11. And you can see it's snapping to grid, so I don't have to worry if I'm straight or not because the software is helping me. I'm going to click there and then I'm going to right click to finish. All right, now we're going to move to the right. I want a couple of little spaces here. So I'm going to move to the right 6 grids from the last, the other brown line here. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that's 1.5 inches, because remember they were 1/4 inch grids. And I'm going to go up 11 lines again, just like I did before. So I'm going to click at the bottom. I'm going to go up my 11 lines, and you can kind of see where it is because we've already got one there. And again, I went from the bottom to the top because we don't want that fabric to get caught under the foot. So we have to start at the bottom. I'm going to click 11 squares up, get it lined up, and then I'm going to right click to finish. So we will have these 2 lines right here. Okay. I got to turn my page here just a second. All right. So we're going to have 3, that's right, we only have 3 pockets. It's not 4, it's 3 pockets. I apologize. So we will have 3 matching pockets along the bottom. All right. And I made them a little wider. I made the whole thing a little wider so that the little USBs would fit in the pockets better. All right. So I'm on page 4 of the instructions. If you are following along, we need to add the back fabric piece. So this is the basic front of the bag. And now we need to be able to put the other side on. So in order to do that, we need to sew another piece of fabric on here. Okay. So I'm going to get my artwork tool, make sure I'm on the right page, I didn't miss anything. I'm going to get my artwork tool again up here. And I want to get this time the rectangle again. So I'm going to get my rectangle. And then I need to get another color. I want to get color number 8. Okay. Then I'm going to draw the rectangle. So I'm just going to draw a rectangle on the screen like we did to start with. So I'm just going to draw my rectangle. All right. This rectangle is going to be used for a drawing template and will not sew. This is going to stay as artwork. All right. And we need to make it the right size though, because we need it as a template. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go up and get my selection tool. Okay. I'm going to move it to the center of the workspace again. So you can see, I think it kind of centered itself actually. See where the little black line is, the little black X, I should say. Make sure it's right there in the center where our red and green stop line is. And that looks pretty good, but it's still not quite the right size. So we do need to change the size of it by going to our properties box and the transform tab. I want to uncheck maintain aspect ratio. It still is unchecked because we unchecked it before. I want to change the size to 4.5 wide by 7.5 long. So actually I did pretty well. It pretty much was the right size. We need to make it a 1/2 inch longer. And then I'm going to click apply. Okay. So now we have this artwork box. Now this box will not sew. It's just artwork, but we need it so we know where to do some drawing here in a minute. All right, because we need to have a little space around the outside edge so that we can do a seam allowance for our bag. Okay, so I drew my rectangle. I changed my sizes. So now I'm actually going to draw the drawing or the sewing line, the stitch line. This is just my template to help me draw it. All right. So I need to go get the run tool again because we're going to actually put the stitches in. So I'm going to get my run tool. I'm going to right click on color number 8 because I still want color number 8. Remember that artwork will not stitch. It's just there for a template. I'm going to look at my properties box. I want it to be the stitch length of 3. And I would like this one, instead of a bean, I would like this to be a 2-ply. Okay? And I'm going to click apply. So in other words, it's going to sew around it 2 times because this is going to be like the outside seam of our little bag. All right, we want it to be strong. Then I'm going to go to the commands tab. verify that I still have tie in and tie off as basic, and I'm going to click apply. And then I'm going to start. So we're going to draw this in. I'm going to start at the bottom left corner of the outside rectangle. So down here, we're going to start down here. Start 1/4 inch to the left of the left pocket line. So remember, we put these brown lines in for the little pockets. I'm going to start one box. So we're going to put a 1/4 inch seam allowance in. So I'm going to start 1/4 inch to the left of the left pocket line. I want to go down to the bottom of my original rectangle. I'm going to click there. Then I'm going to create stitches to the inner rectangle. So remember that purple one that we aren't going to sew? It's going to sew, but just in a different way. I'm going to go up to that one, so that's up 1/2 inch. I'm going to click on the purple line, because remember, we left it there as a template to draw to. And then I'm going to go over to the left corner of that same purple line, and my snap to grid is working. I clicked there, then I'm going to go all the way up to the upper corner of it. So this is going to be the seam allowance. I'm going to click there. I'm going to slide across to the right side and click there. I'm going to go all the way down on the other side, and I'm still drawing over that purple box, okay? And then I'm going to stop again 1/4 inch away from the other USB, that brown line, that other USB pocket line. Okay, we're going to stop 1/4 inch, which is 1 square. I'm going to click there, and then I'm going to go down to the bottom of the blue rectangle, click there, and then I'm going to right click to finish the whole thing. So what I did is I created, this is the hole for turning between those two little lines. I went up and around the whole outside edge of my bag, and then I stopped 1/4 inch from my little USB lines, and I made this, so this bottom part right here is the hole that we're going to turn the whole thing through. Okay? So hopefully that makes sense, because if you see the picture and you do it a couple times, I had to go through and do this. I remember doing this 10 years ago. Oh my gosh, I probably digitized this thing 6 times before I felt comfortable. But now it makes sense because I've sewn a few of these too. So if you kind of think it through in your head and the system of doing in the hoop projects, it will make much more sense. Okay, so think about yourself putting the fabric on as you're doing it and what step you're on, and it really, really helps a lot. All right, so this was our seam allowance around the outside of the bag. Guess what? We're done. This is the one side of the bag, but we're going to make another side of the bag here in a minute, okay? Would you be able to show us the inside of your finished product? I can, Lynn, but I'll post it later because I forgot to take it off my phone. I'm sorry, I only took the picture of the finished one, and I know I've got a picture of the inside of the bag on my phone. So I will upload it right after the class, okay? I knew there was something I forgot, and that was what I forgot. So I'm ready to save this, because this is the whole one side of my bag. This is like the USB little pockets and the zipper and all that on this side of the bag. But we need the other side of the bag yet. Okay, so I'm going to save this one first. I'm going to go to File, Save As. And I always want to save as, thanks, Lynn, I'm glad you forgive me. Yeah, I knew I forgot something, and I forgot that other picture. Okay, so I'm going to save this on my desktop tonight because I already have it saved on my computer. And I'm going to call this USB bag. And I'm going to call it USB bag 1 because there's going to be 2 little designs we're going to sew to make this whole bag. So I'm going to go USB bag part 1. All right, and then I'm going to go and I'm going to save it on my desktop. I want to save it as a C2S file, which is my working file. So if I need to go back and fix something, then I can do that. Where can you find the written, Gail? They are on Sessions on Software. The very first post of Sessions on Software is the link to the Dropbox where all of the instructions are, and it's under USB USB bag. All right, so in the hoop USB bag is what the name of the folder is. So they're all right there, but you have to go to Sessions on Software. It's the first post or the announcement, and you click on the Dropbox link and you can download it. Okay, so I'm just going to save this on my desktop, and then I also need to save this. That was my working file, but I also need to save this as a PES so that I can work it in or put it in my machine. So I'm going to go back to File, Save As, and this time I'm going to save as type. I'm going to go to PES version 9, and I'm also going to save that on my desktop. Okay, so I have both of them saved. I can go back to my working file if I've made a mistake. I can go back and change a setting. I did that actually when I was doing the class. I had made a mistake and I had to go back and fix a setting because I didn't have it be a triple stitch. So I had to go back and fix it. Okay, so this is the last page. We are going to make the monogram side of the bag, which is like the front of the bag or the back. I don't know if you want to call it the front of the back, but it's the other side of the bag. So we're going to make the USB part of the bag. Okay. So now we're going to start a new page. So you can have more than one work page open in this software at a time. So I'm going to open a new page. I'm going to get my selection tool, and then I'm just going to click the little piece of paper up there that is new, so that I'm going to have a new piece of paper. So we'll click new, and now I have a new piece of paper. Just so you know, the work page, as long as you haven't closed your software, the workspace settings that we made are now on this workspace as well. So we don't have to go back and set up all the 1/4 inch squares and all that. It's already done. Okay. So we need to have, the first thing, we need to have a placement line so that we know where to put our fabric down in order to sew on it. So we're going to go ahead and get our artwork tool again. Oops. My fingers are cold, so my mouse isn't working. So I'm going to get my artwork tool. I'm going to click on that little arrow pointing down, and I'm going to get the rectangle. I'm going to right click on the color square number 1, because I want the first color. And then I'm going to just draw my rectangle. So I'm going to hold my left mouse button down, kind of start on the top left and kind of draw down towards the bottom right and let go. Doesn't matter what size it is, we'll fix that in a minute. Okay, I'm going to select it with my selection tool. And I want, again, to center this on my workspace. So the little X is not in the center of my workspace. So I'm going to move that, and I may have to, whoops, I kind of overshot it. So I'm going to move that with my control key push down with my little arrow keys on my desktop. Okay, get that all centered. All right, that looks good. Then I'm going to look at my properties box. This is still artwork at this point. Remember, we use the artwork tool. I am going to uncheck, I'm going to go to transform first because we need to change the size. I'm going to uncheck the maintain aspect ratio, and it still is unchecked because I had it unchecked before. I'm going to change the size to 5.5. The width is going to be 5.5, and the height is going to be 8.5. 8.5. And I'm going to click apply. Well, then we have that same problem. Everything disappeared. So we need to go up to the zoom, and we're going to zoom to fit. So then we can see our rectangle. Now I also noticed that when my rectangle changed sizes, it also changed position a little bit. So I need to fix that. I'm going to hold my control key down and move my rectangle up so that it is centered on my workspace. Okay. Now I've got my rectangle selected still. You can see the selections boxes around the outside edge. I need to make this into stitches because right now it isn't going to sew, it's just a box, an artwork box. So I'm going to right click right on the line. I'm going to convert to, and I want to make it a run. Okay. I'm going to look at my properties box because now I've got things with my properties box up here that I need to change. This is just a placement line, so I'm going to make the stitches fairly long, and I'm going to go 4.5 millimeters for the length, and I want the type to be standard. Standard. Okay, and then I will click apply. Then I'm going to go to my commands tab and verify that I have my basic tie in and my basic tie off, and click apply again. So we have a placement line for the fabric that we're going to sew our monogram on. Okay, so this side's going to be very quick and easy. So we're just going to make a monogram on here. So there is a monogram tool in this software, and there's some really pretty like built-in decorations that go with the monograms, and then there's some actual monogram letters. So you can choose regular letters, but the monogram letters are really pretty and curly. They're a little more decorative. So that's what we're going to use tonight. So the monogram tool is right next to the text tool. It looks like the letter M. So I'm just going to click on my monogram tool. I want to right click on color number 2 because I need the machine to stop so I can put my fabric down after the placement line. I'm going to right click on color number 2 so I can get a different color. I'm going to left click on the workspace to get the lettering to come up. So when I left click, now I have all this stuff over in the properties box for the letters. Okay. The properties tab, I want to highlight ABC in the text box. So I might not have gotten my monogram tool. Let's go pick a monogram here. A second here. For some reason, it didn't come up as a monogram. So we're just going to go down and pick one of the monogram fonts, which I chose monogram number 2. The monogram fonts all have the letter M in front of them, and I chose monogram number 2. All right, so now I have my monogram. I am going to highlight the letter A over here, and I am going to type in my monogram. My monogram, you normally type it in as your first initial, your last initial, and then your middle initial. So your last one's going to be in the center. So mine's J for Jan, and then my last name is Schwartz, so S, and then my middle name is Elaine, so E. So JSE, okay? And I like to use capital letters for that. Then, and I'm going to check to make sure I have the size I want it. So I would like my monogram to be a little taller than it is. So I would like it to be 1.25 inches tall. So I'm going to type in 1.25 in the height. And then the monograms have what they call decors or decorative things that go around them. I would like a really cute decorative thing to go around my letters. So with every time you pick a different monogram, it will have different decor options. So this one, number 2, monogram 2, has these available. So I was going to look here, and I think I chose decor option number 3. So I'm just going to choose that one. They all have different ones. So as you choose different monogram fonts, the decors will change. Okay. So I'm going to choose option number 3, and then I'm going to click apply. And my monogram now is over here on my desktop. I need to get it moved to where I want it to be. So it's obviously I don't want it sitting over here. So I'm going to go get my selection tool. And I'm going to center the monogram on the center vertical grid line 0. So remember, we had our original placement line centered on our workspace. So I'm going to take this down, and I want it to be centered on the 0 line vertically here. And I'm going to pull it down, but I want to move the bottom of the design to about 1.25 inches up from the bottom, so that I know it's going to sew in the correct area. So 1.25 inches, remember this is 1/4 inch grids again, I'm going to go up 5 grids. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, I think I've got it up 5. I think it should be right there. And I don't think it's quite right yet, so I need to bump it over. Make sure I've got my lines right. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, I don't think I've got it quite high enough. 1, 2, 3, 4. I need to go up one more. We'll go up one more. There we go. So the bottom of it is 1 1/4 inches from this bottom, our bottom placement line. Okay? And that is the other side of the bag. How easy was that? Just putting a monogram on it. You can make these, so it makes it real easy. If you want to make different ones, you can put any kind of design here you want. You can make them all monogrammed. You can change this. And so all you have to do is just change that little design to whoever you're making the bag for. Okay. So now we're just going to save this. This is the other piece that we need. So I'm going to go File, Save As. I'm going to call it USB, whoops, can't spell tonight, USB bag 2. But I want it to be a C2S because we need this working file if I want to change it. I'm going to click Save. I'm going to save it on my desktop. And then I want to also save it as a PES file. So I'm going to go File, Save As. And I'm going to change it to PES version 9, and then save that on my desktop. Yes, Lynn, this is 2 hoopings. So when we go to do our bag, you will do this one, the monogram, first. You're going to sew this out first. Okay. Then you're going to put the design in for the first part that we did with all the lines and all the little zippers and everything. And you're going to sew it all out to the last step. Then you're going to put this piece that we just made right sides together to the other piece. And then this is what is going to do. Remember, we drew all the way around the bag. This is the other side of it. Does that make sense? So like I said, I am going to be sewing this bag in Explore Club online and in the store. So we'll actually sew it out. So if you get it digitized, and you haven't sewn it yet, we will be doing it in class so you can see it step by step. I have in the USB, in the hoop USB folder, there is also the sewing instructions for this bag. So you will have the digitizing instructions and the sewing instructions. But I will do it again in Explore Club because Explore Club will have a different logo. I made it different so that it could be for everybody. And because this one is just for me. So, I mean, I don't want to give my initials to everybody. So I wanted to make it a way that everybody could use it with their own initial. Okay. So you'll have 2 different fronts for your bag. Okay. So this is a really cute little project. And like Lynn asked for the inside of the bag. So yes, I'll open it up and I'll take a picture of the inside of the bag and I'll upload the front and the inside right after class. Okay. So this is not a simple project. This is a very step-by-step manually digitized project. So you may have to watch the video a few times and go through, each step and back up and so on. But once you think it through and after you see it sew, it really makes it easier to understand what the steps are because you need to have certain steps in certain places to get all this to work together. Okay. All right. So we have, and I also have the instructions for the sewing if you want to try sewing it before Explore Club. So Explore Club in Davenport will be on St. Patty's Day on March 17th. And then in Iowa City, it'll be on the 20th. And then we will do it online here on March 22nd. Okay. And then we will actually sew this out so you can see it sewn in person. Okay. So are there any other questions about this project? This was like one of my very favorite projects that Kathy Quinn ever sent to us from Floriani. And like I said, these are old projects, but they still are such fun ones to do. And speaking of Kathy Quinn, the Floriani event, if you haven't signed up for the Floriani event and you've been thinking about it, Kathy Quinn is the one that's coming to do our event. I'm so excited. I haven't seen Kathy for a very long time. It's been at least 10 years since I've seen her, and she will be the one coming to the event in Davenport at the end of March. So it's March 27th or 28th, and then the software day is the March 29th, and it will be Kathy Quinn coming. I just found this out about 2 days ago. So if you haven't signed up, please do, because Kathy is great and she knows the stabilizers, and she's amazing. And I didn't realize she was still going out and doing some shows. And it was very exciting to find out that Kathy was coming, because Beth, the gal that takes care of us, told me that Kathy was coming. So I was like, yay. So I'm very excited to see her. Okay, so thread brand in software. Your screen shows Floriani. That is correct. When I open mine, it says exquisite. Oh, yes. So I'll show you quickly, Lynn, how to change the default thread. So yes, I don't use the exquisite thread. We use the Floriani thread or the brother thread. Those are the two. I also use Madeira. But if you want to have a default setting in your software, go to Tools again, General Options, and this first page that comes up gives you the default palette option. And you can change that to whatever palette is the most convenient for you. So I usually have mine set at Floriani because that's what I use the most. The other thing I do on this page is I like to deselect auto match thread colors on loading, because I've often changed my thread colors to something I want them to do, and I don't want to auto match anything. So I deselect that for the most part. Sometimes I have to select it again, but I usually deselect it. And then I click OK. So then your everything all the boxes down here will be Floriani. Okay, are there any other questions? That was a very good question, Lynn. And sometimes when the software updates, just to warn you, some of these settings that you make in your own software change. And mine actually didn't change this time, but I have had them change before. So if you need to, now you know where to go to change them, under Tools and General Options. Okay, are any other questions? You've had wonderful questions tonight. Oh, Jackie wanted to know where to get the free dime door. The best way to do that, Jackie, is to go to, I can't show it on here with sharing my screen, I'm sorry. You can go to the dime website, Designs in Machine Embroidery, and then if you just search for the door, it'll come up, and you have to buy it. It's free, but you have to put it in the cart, and buy it. But it's on the dime website. So if you just go to Designs in Machine Embroidery, it's not designsinmachineembroidery.com. It's like DZNS or something like that. But if you type Google Designs in Machine Embroidery, it'll come up. And you just have to search for the door. You just search for the doors, and they'll come up. It's one of their options of one of their under their sale tab, but you can find it by just searching for it. Okay. So anybody have any other questions? Everybody had really great questions tonight. There's a little bit of a lag of time, so I like to wait just a couple seconds before people to see if people have questions. Okay, so give me a thumbs up if everybody's ready to make some in the hoop projects. These are really fun to make. I really enjoyed the little bags. I remember making these. I made a bunch of them, and I haven't made one for a long time. It was so fun to make it, but I made it a little bigger. Okay. All right. So remember to sign up for. Oh, good. Everybody's ready to make USBs. Okay. So remember to sign up for Dime if you haven't signed up yet, and down there in Davenport. And if you have questions about the upgrade, I've had some questions, please just message me and I can help you with your upgrading if you're having a little trouble. I'm getting used to it now. It's a little different, but I'm getting used to it now. So, okay. And next month, oh, let me show you another picture real quick. Next month, I'll give you a preview. We're going to do some puffy foam. And so I made this little Easter bunny, and it's we're going to digitize this little hanging, and it's got puffy foam all the way around the outside edge of the bunny. And then he's got a puffy foam tail. And then I'm going to show you how to digitize this little in the hoop. This is also kind of a little in the hoop project. So that's what we're going to do next month. And I'm not quite happy. I have to do a little more work. I've been working on this today. So I have a little more work to do on the bunny yet. But I thought he turned out kind of cute. So I wanted to show everybody how to use puffy foam. And then we'll sew the puffy foam in Explore Club in April too. But this is the little April Easter bunny. Okay, so that's the sneak peek for April. All right, so I will see everybody online for Sew Along with Jan next Sunday. We're gonna be continuing with starting over. We're gonna learn to put the thing together next week, and then the following week in March on the 15th, Jan gets a day off. So I'm going to take the 15th off because Kimberbell Club is the whole weekend before. Okay, so on the 15th we will not have a class, and then we will have class on the 22nd, which will be Explore Club. And then the 29th, we will not have class because that's the Floriani event down in Davenport. So I hope to see you all at the Floriani event. Okay? All right. So if you have any questions, let me know, and I will be seeing you soon. Thanks, everybody. Good night.